You're listening to Ecto Portal, a journey into the unknown with Anthony Anderson and Verna Wilson.
I hope that you are seated comfortably with the light turned down and the curtains drawn.
Hello, once again, to another journey into the unexplored, the unexplained Ecto Portal. I'm Anthony Anderson, your host, and I'm here with my co-host,
Verna Wilson.
And did you ever wonder when you see a penny on the ground and you snatch it up, find a penny, pick it up all day long, you'll have good luck? Well, we have a story today about a man in Mexico who found an interesting coin. It wasn't a penny, wasn't even a peso. And it actually is a coin that has caused a lot of controversy and a lot of questions about its validity. Where did it come from? What does it stand for? Is it a real coin? And we'll cover all those in this story. But it's about an interesting Nazi coin dated with the year 2039. So that's what this episode is about this particular coin. It's obviously triggered a lot of conspiracy theorists who love to talk about time travel, alternate universes, what things might be and what they may not be. Is this proof that alternate universes exist? We've done a show before about alternate parallel universes.
And time traveling, yeah.
And time travel. So this is just kind of a very, very particular item or incident that has to do with possible.
Something you don't find every day, not your typical penny on the street.
No, I would love to find a coin like this. Can you imagine finding one?
Oh, yeah.
Fake or not, it'd be still kind of cool to find it.
Oh, definitely. I would first, well, anyway, I'll get to that later, what I would do.
Okay, now recently there was a very mysterious YouTube video that was posted about a conspiracy theory on a channel called The Hidden Underbelly 2.0. That particular post made claim of a Nazi coin that was from the future, discovered by one Diego Aviles, that was discovered at a construction site in Mexico and imprinted along the bottom of the coin. It says the year 2039. Now it's 2020 now, folks, so that puts it at 19 years into the future. And this was in 2018, so 21 years, I guess, into the future at that time when he found the coin.
That's pretty crazy.
Now, Diego says that he was shocked when he read the inscriptions and saw that the date on the once and future Reichsmark read 2039. Above the engraved Nazi Party symbol, the eagle and swastika, he says the words Nueva Alemania are written, which translates into New Germany. Now, there is a Mexican state named Nueva Alemania, but that they don't use Nazi currency. And on the reverse side of this coin is the Iron Cross and the phrase Ali and Inir Nation, which is translated as all in one nation. This could possibly imply that it is from an alternate future where the Nazis conquered the world, or at least Mexico, and they maybe had developed time travel and sent money to the past where it crossed dimensions and ended up in our timeline today.
Now, a large number of conspiracy groups do believe that the coin has to be from the future, and they also believe that it's solid proof that a parallel universe exists. Many claim that if there is a World War III, that Germany could very well be prominent as it is unfolding in Syria. Another bizarre adage to this is that they indicated that the Nazis have been secretly living in Antarctica and will join forces with Germany to help them triumph in World War III. So I don't know how that could be possible, but
You never know.
yeah.
If you believe the stories at the very end of World War II, a faction of German Nazis vanished to Antarctica and brought with them the technology from collected, downed flying saucers. Now, being very well aware of the oncoming impact of World War III, they also had the knowledge of various prophecies that Hitler's Germany believed and are playing coy with both the U.S. and the Russians. They believe the prophecy is that World War III will take place in Germany and that this secret Nazi compound will rise and help free Germany from the tyrants of our world. This, of course, will be followed by 1,000 years of peaceful living on our planet. And other commentators of the coin wondered if it is from a parallel universe in an altered timeline.
So I guess we can look at the coin in three different ways. That it's simply not real and it was manufactured. I'm looking at a picture of it now. It looks real to me.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, it could be an actual rare coin dated from the late 1930s and nothing more than that. And you know what my theory could be about that is that they might have been predicting that they would win, and they were printing out coins for years to come, and not many of them were printed.
So you're saying it's a coin that was pre-printed in hopes of?
In hopes of winning. And
Well, why would you include Mexico? Why would you have...
Well, it could have been that somebody escaped to Mexico and they lost the coin.
But if I understand you correctly, you're printing coins for the future.
Yeah,
What you hope is the outcome of whatever.
right.
Why would you distinctly put a Mexican influence in that coin?
I don't know.
That's what I'm asking.
Well, okay. I know that there are a lot of German people that are living in Mexico, and we're living in Mexico. A lot of people immigrate to Mexico, and there's different international communities there. I don't know if anybody escaped to Mexico and lived there among the German community. But this is just a theory, of course. We don't know this. The other theory is that it would be 21 years into the future if the date actually does read the year 2039. And this states that at that time, Nazis will rule Mexico and probably most of the remainder of the world. But one of the Antarctica Nazis went backwards in time and dropped the coin, and that was later found at the construction site, of course, by Diego Aviles. And of course, this also means that the theory that the Nazis have secretly been living in Antarctica since the fall of Nazi Germany in 1945, and that will, in fact, appear on the scene anytime between now and this future date of 2039 to begin World War III and proceed to conquer the world, which I hope doesn't happen. That's awful.
Interesting theory.
Very.
We gotta wonder if it really is a coin from the year 2039. Looking at the actual coin, you really can't tell if the 2039 is really that of 2039 or of 1939, because actually the first half of that number, whatever comes before 39, is actually scratched out. You can't really see it, and so they're taking a guess here that it's 2039 versus 1939.
Okay.
The coin was sent to the university for examination. The results, if ever revealed, because we couldn't find any actual results currently about this coin once it was tested, if it was tested, where it was tested. But if we ever truly know we'll never really know if this date is accurate or not. Even if it's tested, that part is literally scratched out. So I don't know. Maybe they could figure it out. I don't know. We haven't heard anything since then of that though.
You know, another theory that I really don't see is that they could take other Nazi coins from that period and compare it and see if for some reason this date was scratched out, but the other coins have the dates on them and they all appear to be the same type of coin.
Well, but you got to think about, now let's put it in this perspective, based on what you just said.
All right.
If we had a penny from the future that said 2039,
yes,
and it looked exactly the same as a penny from 2020, it's good. The date's going to be in the same spot. It's going to be written in the same way, but the coin's going to look exactly the same. But this particular coin doesn't just look the same and have, the first part scratched out. It literally has influences of Reichsmark from 1939, and it has Mexican influences, and it says all in one nation, and it has a future date on it, or supposedly a future date on it. So what's interesting, though, is if it is a coin from here, you'd really want to know, what were the influences behind this coin? Whoever made this, is this just something that it could have been a project. It could have been someone who said, you know what, I would love to see a weirdo timeline alternate universe coin, and I would create that coin, and I'm going to put this on it and this on it.
Yeah, because I'm comparing it from the actual coin from 1938, and they look very similar.
Yeah, they do. But the thing is, if it is found on a construction site, it's not going to be a recent coin. If it was a recent coin, it would probably look newer, even if it was thrown.
Right.
And this coin does not look new by any means.
It doesn't look new, no.
It looks like it's been around for a while.
It looks very real, like an old coin,
See, and that's the weird part of this, is if you found it in a construction site and it looks really old, it has influences of the Nazi Reichsmark, and it has these futuristic symbols or wording on it, including Mexico and then one nation completely. You got to wonder that would lean towards an alternate universe, and I can't say that isn't totally impossible.
It's not these days. It's not impossible. No.
Because I remember Art Bell shows back in the late 80s about them actually finding Coca-Cola cans in the middle of boulders from the Ice Age. They actually found Coca-Cola cans, watches. I
never heard that one. Wow.
They found watches.
I believe it.
Timex watches encased in the middle of a boulder, infused in it. So it wasn't like it fell and encrusted to the boulder. It was in the center of a boulder, and it was part of the stone.
Find something from a time machine. How interesting. Yeah.
Where do these artifacts come from? And they were further down in the ground, like you would find dinosaur bones, where nobody would have immediate access. So you really have to dig, and they're finding these artifacts like a Coca-Cola can.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you find a Coca-Cola can in the center of a boulder? Explain that.
That doesn't make any sense unless it dropped from somewhere and it was caught in the ice or something. That's the only explanation, but that doesn't make any sense either.
Yeah, so I mean, unless it's, and even if it's from an alternate universe, how does it get into a boulder? But I guess if it existed and someone went into the past and it was floating around and somehow it fused into the stone when the stone was made. But I don't know, how's that possible? If it's lava, does lava make the rock? Is it lava rock? How are stones made? Is the ice carve the stone? I don't know.
Now, it would be well worth it to do some history on that site, what it was before they did construction on it.
Yeah, like what was there?
What was there?
But then again, if it's an alternate universe, you're not going to find the information on a site, because that would be a site.
Well, no,
in an alternate universe.
it's just for notes, just because you want to
like what was
do
there?
as many theories as possible.
What business was there? Who worked there? And maybe something about those people. Maybe one of those people worked with a government agency. Who knows? It's hard to say.
And it also may be a good idea to ask the German community in Mexico, the older community who's been around for a long time, about this coin. Have you seen a coin like this before? Because I mean, I know that the German community has been in Mexico for years, and I'm not saying that that a lot of them are from that era, but they remember that era.
Yeah.
And the older community. Show them the coin. Do you know this? Do you know what this could be?
Yep.
And also, here's another theory, and this theory came because of something that happened few years back. My sister and I walked into an antique store once, and behind the window, there were all this Nazi memorabilia, all of it. And Linda and I were shocked because you don't see it too often these days. Yep. And we went, whoa, look at that. And the antique dealer told us, well, it came from a soldier who was there in the bombing of Berlin, and they were in a bombed out house, and the occupants weren't coming back, or they were gone. And they took the memorabilia, put it in a suitcase, and took it back with them. and he finally decided to sell it to the store. And so if somebody had a bunch of stuff left over and there was some kind of coin made with a future date, they probably lost it.
Well, and that would be lost in time. You'd never know where that came from.
Right, exactly.
That person's would
You
be
wouldn't
long
know.
dead.
Right.
Where the house it came from would be long cleared away, because a lot of Germany was bombed and cleared away too.
Right.
So you would never ever know.
You won't be able to find it, yeah.
There isn't. What's interesting is you got to wonder what the explanation is. First, there's an inscription in Spanish that says New Germany. Mexico was never an ally of Nazi Germany, and one explanation would be that it could be treated as a commemorative coin. This is kind of going the direction you were saying. But Mexico and Germany did not have any kind of alliance. Moreover, Mexico declared war on Germany in 1942, and in addition, there is no known Nazi coin that has the inscription Ale in Inier Nation. So it is not a montage. It's certainly not very strange coin, even if it does come from the future or from a parallel universe. Some conspiracy believers think the satellite footage that displayed a swastika on the ice in the Antarctica recently. Another believer said that Google Earth revealed that a secret Nazi cave was found in the ice and that Hitler did visit the South Pole, set up training boot camp, but it said it was never used. So that's kind of interesting. While I was researching this article, I did, we do know that Hitler and the Nazis were into paranormal and experiments, and Hitler himself was obsessed with the paranormal and wanted to know everything there was to know. He did a lot of experiments, he did a lot of research, he went in search of all kinds of items, thus Raiders of the Lost Ark influence. And he did have a secret project called the Nazi Bell, which was a time machine, and it would be move through time. And it was also like an alternate universe machine too, so it would go different things. Witnesses claim that the Nazis went to the moon and Mars, and even the Aldebaran solar system. Many make mention of this bell. It an unknown source of energy and could sustain power flight way beyond that of the Earth's orbit. The Nazis kept this energy technology from the rest of the world and was part of their secret space program. Many witnesses claim that the Bell craft was 12 to 15 feet high and about 12 feet wide. That's not very big. It was made of hard and very heavy metal, also with a lighter metal called Leichtmetall. Designers of this bell also used beryllium peroxide and thorium peroxide.
Now, the effects of the bell, it stretched around between 490 and 660 feet around the craft, and strange things were to have happened in this zoned area, like the formation of crystals with animal-like tissue and the decomposition of plants into a greasy, gooey substance, and the solidifying and separation of blood. If anyone was too close during testing, they died. 5 of the 7 Nazi scientists linked to the secret project all perished during experimentation of this craft. And it's also said that the time machine could produce images from the past on its mirror surface on top during operation.
Now, if you look at that right there, it produced images from the past.
Right, yeah.
So does that say they could only go into the past at that point? I'm just guessing.
It's just a guess.
It's interesting that it points out it was photographs and images from the past rather than from the future.
Yes.
Of course, honestly, if you were given images from the past and the future, I bet you anything, some of it you wouldn't be able to tell whether it's from the past or the future. Do you know what I mean?
I do, yeah. It would be hard to tell unless you were able to, unless they were distinctive, very distinctive.
Yeah. So I would be curious if they could differentiate that.
So the bell was powered by a liquid fuel known as serum 525, and it was a cherry red color, and it was also of a dense, gooey texture. Author Henry Stevens claimed that the liquid was actually red mercury. The serum was placed in a large counter-rotating cylinder that was spun around at high speeds, and this created an anti-gravity propulsion that powered spaceships at different heights and rates of travel. And that reminds me of the type of spaceships that Adamski talked about. Yeah, the type of technology.
I know it's
Yeah.
frightening thought that the Nazis might have had contact with these same people that Adamski did, but I don't think they did.
It's a very
'cause
frightening thought.
But I know that the people that Adamski contacted were very peaceful and very wise, and I wouldn't really say that that's exactly what Hitler was. So, but maybe Hitler faked it. You never know.
We don't know. Yeah.
Historians believe that the bell was stored in a facility called Der Ries, or the Gien, and was located within driving distance of the Czech border. Now, Hitler reportedly had the bell shipped to South America by U-boat in the final days of World War II. Collective conspiracy believers say the Nazis relocated the bell to the Arctic Circle, and after the execution of many of their top scientists. It was claimed that the Nazi leaders continued their secret space program, and developed various UFO technologies, and also continued communications with extraterrestrial beings in the years after World War II. Even more incredible, so believe that a group of Nazi leaders traveled to the Aldebaran solar system with this bell technology. It's also thought that the Nazis have secret UFO development bases around the Antarctic, not yet discovered by the world as a whole.
Now, with the discovery of the coin in Mexico, one has to wonder if they did indeed discover something that allowed them to tamper with time. And this item is the product of that experiment, showing a very different world and how things were not the same as our own. As the polar ice caps melt and we find new discoveries all the time, it may be that we see that there are really, if there are any Nazi bases still existing and even in use in the Antarctic. So we're going to, I believe we may be able to find all that out because the climate's changing,
Yeah.
the ice is melting, and there's probably going to be more discoveries of whether these theories are true, they have a basis in fact, or something, or it's just
Or whether
a theory.
it's not even just the Nazis, whether we have bases in the Antarctic.
Oh yeah, not just the Nazis, but yeah.
Whether there's alien bases in the Antarctic. But I know that as they melt, we're getting all these weird sea creatures.
All this weird stuff, yeah.
We're getting all these creatures we've never seen before. People are taking pictures. They're being seen around the world. Loch Ness has a different one, and these different, like, could be ancient serpents that have been living in a colder environment safely. Now that's warming up, and they're having to go somewhere else.
Yeah, migrating, yeah.
So as that stuff melts, if there are bases here from the Nazis, we're going to find out about them soon enough, unless they're shut down, moved, and dismantled by a government. It's hard to say.
I bet you with things shifting, that we're going to find a lot of discoveries about lots of civilizations, and lots of about civilizations, nature, theories about time travel.
Yeah, just the archaeology alone that we're going to
Yeah.
uncover, because as the water levels rise,
Mm-hmm.
and I imagine they'll shift, and some places will get lower, some places will raise really
Mm-hmm.
higher and flood. When they lower, they've already been finding stuff on riverbanks. They've been finding rocks with, inscriptions from cultures that predate anything we had before.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a recent one. And I know that there's other theories around that the U.S. has had, and I think I mentioned this to you before, they have a base in the Antarctic where they actually have contact with some extraterrestrials that have helped develop teleportation to 4 different points
I've
on
heard
the
of
planet.
that before, yeah.
Like Hawaii, and I don't remember where the other ones were, but that they already have the capacity to teleport to some other planet, either in our solar system or close by, and that our space program has already continued with this, but they kind of kept the people in the dark because they didn't want to reveal their secrets to other countries. And now that it's gone on for this long, how do you tell someone, oh, by the way, maybe we should have told you this 50 years ago, but we thought it would be better not to scare you? How do you tell someone that now? Like, we have the capacity to, you ever wonder why I always wonder why the space program stopped in the 70s. It just stopped. It was, we don't have the money, but yet somehow it just stopped. We didn't even talk about it anymore. We didn't want to know about it
I wasn't
anymore.
hearing about it after the 70s very much either.
And that was it.
And what I thought was that NASA was just quietly doing their own research and that there wasn't anything to talk about. But it is a good way to look at it.
But I mean, we went to the moon, we achieved the moon.
I know.
And it was exciting. And we did other
Very
missions.
exciting.
We had other missions to the moon after the original
I
one.
remember when I was 9 years old watching that on TV, and watching that on TV was exciting, the whole thing. It's like, wow, they're on the moon, look at that.
But have you ever seen in this country something that monumental that didn't make our society or government or entrepreneurs want to push even further
yeah.
to see what's out there? But
Well,
then we just suddenly stop. It just,
Right,
it's
now they're
always
talking
been
about
weird.
going to Mars in the
Yeah,
future,
now-
in like 2030 or something like that?
Yeah, but think about that. They always said, remember that scientists said this, in order to get to Mars or anywhere else, we first have to establish ourselves on the moon as a way station to fuel up to then be able to go to Mars.
Yes.
But if we've not talked about being able to go back to the moon, and suddenly we're talking about Mars, I don't think they realize that, guys, either you already have something on the moon that we don't know about and you're not telling us about, or you have some other way to get to Mars that you know about that you're not telling us about. So there's just seem to be missing pieces all around that, kind of contradict to what they already told us. So I don't know that I have a firm belief in all the conspiracy stuff. I'm just looking at the basics of it. We stopped going to the moon. We have the International Space Station, which we've maintained, but why are we maintaining money to go to the space station all these years if we aren't doing something up there? What are we doing?
Right.
I mean, collecting rock samples that float by for 30 years? I don't believe it.
I've been to a planetarium where I see all these planetary rocks. Oh, this came from something that fell from the sky, or this came from, here's a collected, I don't know if I ever saw a moon rock, but I've seen all kinds of cool stuff, and I thought, wow.
Did you see a moon rock before?
I think I did once. I think I did.
I did at
I
Kennedy
could have
Space
sworn
Center.
I've seen it, but I could be wrong because I don't know how. But I remember that back in the day in the Rosicrucian Museum, they had their own planetarium.
Yeah.
They had back in the day in the 70s all of these specimens of all this stuff to do with space, and it was all these rocks, and it was very cool, like meteorites, and we all know meteors
cool.
fall.
Yeah. Yep.
Meteor, but I think there were some other rocks, and when I went back to the planetarium, I don't like a few years ago, I didn't see it, and I thought, wow, what happened to that?
Maybe it was a private collection that they were displaying or something.
Yeah, and I thought that was very cool. So I figured that they were still experimenting, and they were still figuring out how we can sustain life and go there. But it is strange that you don't hear anything.
Well, when I was at the Kennedy Space Center in the 90s, they have an actual rock in a case, but they allow you to reach your hand in and touch the rock.
Really?
So it was kind of smooth because so many people have
What
touched
kind of
it.
rock?
Moon rock.
A moon rock. Oh, wow.
It came from the astronauts, brought it with them. And that's when I walked around the spaceships, the crafts that they went up in, and they're literally, it reminds me of a battleship where it's iron, it's heavy metal and brackets. And I'm like, how in the world did we get this up there? And I still have a hard time grasping it because it's just such a big, heavy, clunky, it looks different than this bell, but their craft is really clunky. You're like, wow, we got that to the moon? It's amazing to me.
Yeah, and it's also amazing, the computers in the station that were manning that flight, they were very basic. I mean, we have more advanced technology now than we did then. And they show them all sitting around in a row, man, and they were much less advanced technology, but they were working on that flight. They were, yeah, they were monitoring it.
So that's what I wonder. I mean, all these scientists, and they had like Apollo 13 where something went wrong, and they had to figure it out in so many minutes, times, and with the right power to get them back. With all this technology and these scientists and what we've accomplished, and then to just
stop, yeah.
And nothing happened until the International Space Station, which was a good idea, but I never understood, why are we building the space station? Is it just to run experiments to monitor our Earth's atmosphere? I could see that.
It makes me wish that Carl Sagan was still alive so we could ask him this stuff. I'm sure this is something that he's thought about with his life work, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even the space station can't hold fuel to go to Mars.
Yeah.
It's too small. It's too fragile, really.
Yes.
They always said you're going to have to build some kind of facility on the moon to store fuel so that a mission could dock on the moon, refuel, resupply, and then go to Mars. And we've never discussed about building a facility. We've never gone to the far side of the moon. They don't ever print a lot of pictures of the far side of the moon. But yet now we're talking about, oh, here's the date when we're going to Mars. Well, that's only, what, 10 years from now?
Yeah, I saw the year 2030, and yeah, it's not too long from now. So are they preparing for it? Are they making, I mean, who knows what they're doing? I haven't kept up with what they're doing to make sure that trip is possible.
But that's what gets me is if it's 10 years from now, we want to be a manned trip to the moon or to Mars, and yet how long would it take us to build a facility on the moon to refuel to go to Mars when we haven't even publicly announced that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it just
I do.
makes you really wonder, like, are there other steps going on that we're not being told, and they're finding ways to tell the public in a broad sense of the word? I could see where it'd be exciting to say, oh, man's going to Mars, but I don't know. You got to wonder about this Antarctic stuff. I don't know. We don't really have proof of any of this, really.
We don't.
It's an interesting idea, and so is like this coin, which I would love to see the coin, but I don't, who knows where it's at now. Diego might have it. The university might have kept it. Whatever university tested it.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting idea that obviously is linked with time travel, and I could see why the Nazis would be obsessed with that. So
it's not a coin you'd find every day. So
Nope.
I mean, I can see why it's under so much speculation. If I found a coin like that.
And if there is an alternate universe where the Nazis did win and this coin did come from it,
How scary.
it is scary. But I mean, how many other alternate universes are there then? That's what,
It's a good question. Yeah.
It's just a fascinating story. Whether it's true or not, I don't have the answers, but I think it's interesting nonetheless. So if you ever find the coin from the future, folks, come on our show, please.
Please.
We'd like to know where it came from.
Yeah, we'd like to talk about it.
How did you build your time machine?
Yeah, it would be good to get some questions out there, and if you've done any experimenting with it, well,
We're up for it.
well, yeah, sure.
All right, folks, that's another episode for this week. And until next week, we're going to say goodbye.
Bye. See you next week.
Royalty-free, copyright-free music by Kevin MacLeod and Ross Bugden.